in my 34 years, that's the first time I'd ever seen that done before.
One of those things you just said, oh, wow, I just did that.
I was driving the medic rig that day, so it was myself, my normal partner, Jeremy Coy, and then we had our student, Doran Bishop, in the back.
I happened to be here at 8s that day, and that's when everything happened.
Pull up in front of the door today, and we noticed that there's a gentleman on the ground, pale, and there's St. Paul police officers doing CPR. We get out of the ambulance, take over CPR from the police officers so they can handle the scene.
I think I had come back from medic school that day, and when we arrived on scene, we found them with this individual who was on the ground. His face was purple.
He wasn't breathing, so we knew we had to get an airway in at some point, and usually we would go into the trachea with an endotracheal tube, but his mouth was just full of so much food. We were getting nowhere with our suction devices.
This person's airway has been obstructed, for we don't know how long, and after 4 to 6 minutes, if we're not getting oxygen to the brain, it can cause some serious damage.
We had to perform a crike to save this, or at least attempt to save this patient's life.
The procedure itself is pretty rare. Some medics will go a lifetime and never do them. Doing it on the street where we were, probably even more so rare. They said they're still not able to get any air through it. So at that time I said, we probably need to do a crike on him. But there were, 50, 60 people watching what was going on as traffic's going by too. So it was literally right out in the open that this was being done.
When they saw this little scalpel come out there, everybody kind of stepped back.
You just take a scalpel and you cut down, and then once you're down through the tissue, there's a little membrane in there, and you just kind of poke the scalpel through that, and then you kind of go side to side, kind of open it up a little bit. So basically you're inside their windpipe.
After we made the incision, I used the sclar hook to grab the patient's trachea and open it up so that he could slide the breathing tube down his throat.
As soon as that happened, I began managing the airway after the tube was actually placed. So I began bagging the patient, beginning to get his oxygen sats up.
Together they did a really good job. It was, not a lot of blood. There was no complications. It just went off without a hitch, just like we're trained to do.
And that's the first time that I'd ever seen anything like that. It's something you hear about in the movies or on television or whatever, never actually seen it done, and it just went like clockwork.
Extremely proud of those guys. And everybody there, from the police on down. I mean, everybody did what had to be done to save that guy's life.
As soon as we got, the crike in, he had a good rhythm again.
We had a good blood pressure, his O2 sats were good, but he still wasn't breathing on his own.
Maybe not his life, but somebody else's life.